What can I say? Gustud really increasing his trade value right now.
Sucker bleu. I don't want to overreact. What was that? This is going to be a good year. Not too shabby. The best game ever.
Hello and welcome to Hawks Recap. Game 53 has just concluded for the Hawks as they win. They beat the Minnesota Wild in Minnesota in overtime by a score of 4-3. It's the Blackhawks' fourth straight victory. They're playing fun hockey. They're playing entertaining hockey. Unfortunately, I can't sit here and tell you that this is the type of hockey that's going to get them into the playoffs. I mean, it would be if they weren't in such a big hole, but right now, it's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. I can't sit here and tell you guys something I don't believe. I really wish I could tell you that they would get into the playoffs with the kind of hockey they're playing, but it's just too big of a hole. It's just not going to happen. I'm sorry. I have to keep reiterating this because there's just too many teams in front of them with the 3-point system. It's just not going to happen. But I do enjoy seeing them play this well. A little bit of a disclaimer here before I dig into this game. I only really saw the last couple minutes of the third period and then the overtime. I had a beer league hockey game tonight. I did score a goal, so it's not all for a loss. But yeah, I didn't really see much of this game, so take this recap with a grain of salt. So, both teams coming into this one playing the back end of a back-to-back. Wild coming off a loss against Dallas. Blackhawks coming off a win against Buffalo. No real advantage in terms of back-to-back situation. The only real advantage really is that the Wild are playing both games at home, so they don't have to deal with travel, while the Blackhawks play both games on the road at Buffalo, at Minnesota. The first period looked pretty even from both sides, at least according to the box score. Both teams getting 8 shots on goal. The Wild getting the lone goal in the first period, 8.5 minutes in from Zucker on the power play. And I gotta say, from watching the replay, it just looked like a great passing play from the Wild. Just a good play, just fake shot, pass, score. Not a whole lot the Blackhawks could do there. So the Wild taking a 1-0 lead into the second period, but just like last night, it looks like the Blackhawks came to play in that second period. They would get goals from both DeBrincat and Gustud. DeBrincat getting his 26th goal of the season, and it's funny because both goals actually had the exact same primary assist and secondary assist. Cahoon getting the primary assist, Dylan Strome getting the secondary assist. Kind of fun in that regard. So this game, a back-and-forth affair. The third period would be no different. Mikko Koivu scoring to tie this game up, and then with 4.5 minutes left to go in the game, Blackhawks on the power play. Kane with the puck. He spots Jonathan Toews posting up in the paint, and he puts a nice little pass right to Toews' stick, and he has the easy job of just tapping it in. Blackhawks take the lead, and good teams would find a way to close it out and not give their divisional rivals a point, but the Blackhawks cannot do that. They would have a defensive breakdown about 1.5 minutes after that. Victor Rask finding himself all alone in front. He gets a pass and he just pots it home up over top of Delia, and we're going into overtime. Now, right at the end of the third period, Suter ended up clearing the puck out of play from the defensive zone, which results in a delay of game penalty. And I gotta be honest, from the one replay I saw, it looked like it got deflected, but it wasn't like a great angle. And maybe they showed another replay. I don't know. I may have missed that. But I was completely surprised when the Hawks were on the power play after that. But I'll tell you what. I'll take it. So Blackhawks have a 4-on-3 power play advantage, which is absolutely huge in overtime, and they do not mess around. They take advantage of it. DeBrincat puts it right in the wheelhouse of Gustud, and he just blows it by Dubnyk, getting his second goal of the game. Game winner. Blackhawks win. It's a nice night to be a Blackhawks fan. Blackhawks power play 2 for 5 in this game. Another good game for the special teams, and it's really been the reason why the Hawks have had success as of late. It's been the difference maker. You look at the beginning of the season compared to now, there's a reason why they're getting more points out of games. Kane extending his point streak to 11 games. If it wasn't for the Winter Classic, it would be to 18 games. So essentially, it's an 18-game indoor point streak for Patrick Kane. Absolutely incredible from him. Gustud getting 2 goals in this game. Really making a case for himself now with the trade deadline coming up. Blackhawks have an interesting decision to make. Now, when I say that, I mean that he looks very attractive to other teams, to contenders, teams that have a good set of defensemen already, but could really gain a big spark from his elite offensive ability from the back end. Teams that don't need him to be very good defensively because they have other defensemen to cover for that. Ideally, the Hawks would like to keep Gustafsson. And I personally would like the Hawks to keep Gustafsson. Like I said, offensive ability from the back end is absolutely elite with this guy. Obviously, defensively, leaves some room to be desired. But ideal situation, you get defensemen around him that can cover up for it, and it's not that big of a burden. Honestly, the only way I see the Blackhawks trading Gustafsson is if they get an offer that they just can't refuse. And speaking of defensemen and the trade deadline coming up, I'm going to double down on what I said in the last video. I don't think, at all, that Duncan Keith is getting traded. I think that every single article that has been put out there saying his name and attaching it to trades, I think it's just clickbait. It's complete clickbait. Honestly, from the bottom of my heart, that's what I think. I think there's absolutely no way the Hawks trade Duncan Keith. And I think there's absolutely no way that Keith actually wants to be traded. I'm saying that, it's my opinion, but that's what I think. So the Blackhawks have a couple days off here before they finish up their little road trip, if you want to call it that, against the Edmonton Oilers. They have the day off to watch the super big game of the football variety tomorrow night. Let me know in the comments who your pick is for that game. I'll tell you in terms of my pick. Now, I'm not a fan of either team, obviously, but I'll just say this. I kind of like watching the sports world burn sometimes. Let's put it that way. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Hawks Recap. I really hope you enjoyed it. Once again, I apologize. Please take this recap with a grain of salt because I didn't really see the majority of this game. Feel free to leave your comments about this game. Inform me of what you saw. Leave those down in the comments section below. Like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate that as always. But most importantly, stay safe, make good decisions, and I'll see you next time.